On this vlog, we're going to have a quick review of last night's game, the pros and cons of both teams as they move down to Chennai for the remainder of the final series, and we'll have a preview of RR versus RCB. Will there be a royal momentum shift? That's what we'll be looking at. But last night, Mitchell Starc blew Sunrisers Hyderabad out of the park with early wickets. You're not going to get back into the contest when you've lost 4 wickets in the power play like Sunrisers Hyderabad did last night. KKR have invested heavily in Mitchell Starc. He came to this tournament, he was bowling within himself. He was around the 130, 135 mark early on in the tournament. He was still getting the ball in the right areas and still getting it to swing, but because of the flatness of the wickets and he not bowling with that extra pace, batters were able to get on top of him. But well done to the KKR camp. They realised what Mitchell Starc needed, and they realised that they needed him right, pristine condition for the back end of the tournament. And last night he was bowling 140 plus, getting the ball to move, and the ball that he bowled to Tripathi that got him on the toe and they didn't go up for the review where he is plumb was sensational. It was scintillating, and that type of ball just shows you that Mitchell Starc is in form. So fast bowlers go through their ups and downs. They're not going to be at their peak all year, but they time their run well, and Mitchell Starc has timed it well for the final series and the T20 World Cup. KKR are lucky that they've had the spinners controlling the middle overs and their batters have been in fire to get them to this situation. The pros and cons of both teams. Quickly going to go through it. Samad last night, even though he only had a short innings, I love the way that he attacked Narayan straight away. That just shows me that he's got a good mindset, a clear head, and he knows exactly what he wants to do, and he's not overawed by the finals or the situation of the game. That is a positive for Sunrisers moving forward. You've got Tripathi also in touch. I just love the way that he's able to access the ground to his strengths, and when he can't access that particular area and the opposition bowlers have tied him up, he's able to work the ones and twos. He's a team player. He's very aggressive between the wickets, and he sums up the conditions extremely well. Big positive that he's found a bit of touch there. Klasan taking on Narayan last night and dominating Narayan is a big plus moving forward if Sunrisers Hyderabad get the chance to play them in the final out the back end. But the negative was that he allowed Chakravarti to get on top of him. He's had the better of Chakravarti. He got a bit greedy last night. Instead of going a little straighter to that foolish delivery, he went across the line and there was a bit of extra bounce there in Ahmedabad, and he allowed Chakravarti to just get a little bit of confidence moving forward into the final out Chennai. The other plus, obviously, for Sunrisers Hyderabad was Natarajan coming in, bowling out the back end of the power play when KKR were just taking the game away. He controlled the situation, could have had a wicket there, drop catch, but he was able to turn the momentum around slightly so that Sunrisers Hyderabad had a chance. The negatives for Sunrisers Hyderabad is that they don't have any spin, quality spin in those middle overs, and you'll need that down in Chennai. And for me, it's just hit and miss for them. They're either going to make a big score or they're going to be blown out of the water like they were last night. And the other problem for them is that they're losing momentum out the back end of the innings. So I just think they're going to have their struggles when they move forward. If they don't have a good power play, they're going to struggle to make it up out the back end. The positives for KKR are that the 2 Iyer boys last night got time out in the middle, and that is very important for them moving forward. And Gurbaz had a short, sharp innings where it was high quality. I love the way that he was trying to put pressure on the opposition bowlers and the way that he went about it as well. He was keeping the momentum that Salt had, and that allows that takes the pressure off Narayan out the other end. That is a huge positive there. Mitchell Starc, obviously in fine form. The negatives moving forward are the bottom order have not had too much time out in the middle of late, and that could be fixed up by a little bit of training down out Chennai where they could have some extra power hitting out training sessions to get right for the final. And Varora, he has to sort out his no ball problem. Going back to Sunrisers Hyderabad, one big issue for them as well is Travis Head. Last night and the last couple of games, he has been exposed. He's not been able to sum up the conditions when it's moving and there's a little bit of seam. He's still aggressive and he's planting that front foot down the line of leg stump, even going away from leg stump, and he's got a bigger gap between bat and pad, and that has been exposed. Early on in his innings, especially in a final, he's got to take 2 or 3 balls just to find out whether there's a little bit of movement off the wicket. If there's not, then he can take that out of the equation. If the ball's moving in the air, then he can play through the line whichever direction the ball's moving. Last night and the game before, he's been exposed. So Sunrisers Hyderabad have got their problems, but because of their hit and miss ways, they were lucky that they had the second chance, because I just think that's one of their weaknesses. Now tonight's game, Rajasthan Royals versus RCB. I've got a funny feeling that Rajasthan Royals, I'm sad to say that Rajasthan Royals have got big problems tonight, because they have got a depleted batting lineup. Not having Butler up the top where he can control the innings is a huge loss. And Jaswell has been a bit hit and miss as well. When he's trying to be aggressive, he's leaning back rather than playing through the line of the ball, and he's slightly out of form. And then you've got Kolkata as well coming in. I really don't think he's that high-quality player that can take opposition attacks away easily. So they're going to be struggling in the power play overs, and that's going to add extra pressure on Samson and Parag, who have been their high run scorers in those middle overs. Those two might feel as though they've got to go a little bit harder, and with that extra pressure, they might falter as well. And you've got Hetmai coming in from injury as well. He hasn't had time out in the middle. That is a huge problem. And Ashwin coming in out 7. They haven't got depth in their batting order. And if they bat first and got to go for an impact player, all of a sudden it takes away with depth for their bowling. And when I'm talking about their bowling, they do need to make sure that they give themselves extra options tonight with the ball. They've got to have Berger operating with Bolt opening the bowling. Bolt can go to Kohli and to Plessy with a little bit of fuller length, swinging the ball, and then Berger with his extra pace can go full like Stark last night, but he's got a promising bouncer and he can go on the attack with them. So you've got a little bit of variety there against Plessy and Kohli, who have been dominant over the last month. But then if you get those early wickets, you've got Berger with that extra pace to go against Patidar and Maxwell. And you need those type of options in this particular game, because at Ahmedabad, where there's extra bounce and pace, you need to utilise those strengths. And if we looked at the game last night, when Narayan and Chakravarti were being played comfortably by opposition team by Sunrisers Hyderabad, when Sunrisers Hyderabad were on the back foot, that just shows that there's not much there for spin out Ahmedabad. So the likes of Ashwin and Chahal could be under pressure tonight. So that's why you need the extra pace. So for me, the big matchup tonight is being able to utilise pace against Maxwell and Patidar in those middle overs. If you can expose those two against the extra pace, get them out early, Rajasthan have a big chance of winning. But the powerhouse of RCB, with their batting, the momentum that they have, and the improvement in their bowling, especially Siraj and Dayal with the new ball and the death overs, I just think they've got too much going for them at the moment to lose tonight, RCB. So for me, RCB are going to beat Rajasthan Royals easily. What are your thoughts? Get them downstairs.